Come with me into this world of pure imagination. You're watching RYE Reviews, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on Broadway. For more than 50 years, Roald Dahl's story of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory has captured imaginations around the world. And now, for the first time, Broadway audiences are invited to experience Willy Wonka's delightful and semi-dark chocolate world firsthand. Willy Wonka, world-famous inventor of everlasting gobstopper, has just made an astonishing announcement. His marvelous and mysterious factory is opening its gates, to a lucky few that is. That includes young Charlie Bucket, whose life definitely needs sweetening. He and 4 other golden ticket winners will embark on a mesmerizing, life-changing journey through Wonka's world of pure imagination. Get ready for chocolate waterfalls, exquisitely nutty squirrels, and the great glass elevator, all to be revealed by Wonka's army of curious Oompa Loompas. Let me just tell you about the characters and a little bit about them, because let's just get to the characters first, and then I'll tell you about my review. So, first I have to talk about the leading man himself, Mr. Willy Wonka, Christian Borle. He was the perfect Willy Wonka, and let me tell you, he brought magic, charisma, comedy, and laughter, and, of course, pure imagination to our hearts. The role will definitely be Tony nominated and Tony worthy. He took a page from each book of Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp and put it into Christian Borle's character, and that's what made it so uniquely original. So he was really good. He played the character really well in true Christian Borle style. He brought so much stuff to it. So really liked his character a lot. The night I saw the show, one of the kids playing Charlie Bucket, his name was Jake Ryan Flynn, and he played Charlie Bucket the night I saw it, and he was perfect for Charlie. He really brought emotion to the role, was great, cute kid, and it was a really great Charlie Bucket. The night I also saw the show, unfortunately John Rubinstein, who plays Grandpa Joe, was not in the show that night. His understudy was subbing in for him, which is totally okay, because his understudy did such a great job, and his name was Paul Slade Smith, and he was very, very good. This was his second time playing the role. I actually asked him after the show, and he had played the role the night before, so that was exciting. I saw this the 2 nights after opening, which is exciting to see. The playbill still has the opening night logo on the marking on the inside, so that's pretty cool. And he was really, really good. He brought the right amount of energy, comedy, and wittiness to the role. So, great job, Paul Slade Smith. The rest of the cast included Emily Padgett as Mrs. Bucket, Trista Dawson as Violet Beauregard, and, might I say, a step in the right direction for Broadway for diversifying this character. Very, very happy that, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory casted a black Violet Beauregard, and her father was also black as well, which is great for the African American community. And I'm very happy that, they, didn't just make all the characters white. They have, a diversity in this show, which is great. And F. Michael Haney as Augustus Gloop, Emma Peffel as Veruca Salt, and Michael Wartella as the TV-obsessed Mike TV. Jackie Hoffman as Mrs. TV and Kathy Fitzgerald as Mrs. Gloop were also huge audience favorites, and their comedic timing stole the show. Let me tell you something. Jackie Hoffman was one of the greatest Broadway actresses. Like she's really underrated. She's really funny, really great, and Kathy Fitzgerald is just is iconic, and she's a legend. So they both did so good, and I'm so really loved their characters so much. So definitely 2 standouts, but everyone else that I listed was great. What they did with the kids was really interesting, because all of the kids that I just listed were not kids. They're adults playing kids' roles, and they only have Charlie Bucket being a kid. So that kind of, was interesting how they did that, kind of threw things a bit. They made Charlie really the only kid. So, really interesting. So, I'm going to switch gears and now talk about the show. I hate to do reviews where, I don't like a show and that, a show wasn't that good, because I know what it takes to put on a show. I know that it's, a lot of work and dedication, and it's not the fault of the actors or whatever. It's the fault of the show itself and how it's perceived to come onto stage and who directs it, and, but let's just say the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that's running in the UK that's been successful for a few years is not this Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They Americanized it, made it very commercially appealing. So, wasn't one of my favorites. It will do well, though, in as I was saying, because it's big commercial sell to it, everyone wants to flock to see Willy Wonka, and especially with Christian Borle being behind the role, everyone wants to see Christian Borle. He's a pretty big name in that as well. So for a Broadway production, the sets were really cheesy and corny. The songs were unrememberable, excuse me, and there were holes in the storyline of this production, and it didn't make sense. So, when I'm saying about the sets were really cheesy, for a Broadway production, I was really, really disappointed for the sets. The Chocolate Factory was something out of like a middle school production. Right before Act One, the top of Act One, they just get thrown into the Chocolate Factory. You see the Chocolate Factory at the opening of Act Two, and it's a white wall, and they bring out on a little like roly-poly thing the Chocolate Factory, and it looks like something out of a middle school version. It was really bad. They did, the way that they did the Bucket Household was interesting, and the candy store that's so iconic, which in this version Charlie doesn't find the golden ticket in that store. He finds it from some old beggar woman who is quite funny and pushes a cart around and sells, old musty cabbages and sells chocolate. But anyway, it was just really, really, really bad. So that chocolate store was cool because that rises up from the stage and rises back down. But the Chocolate Factory itself, I was not impressed with, and nor were a few other people that I spoke with as well. We were really disappointed. The tasting room was the only good part of this show, and the really neat room. Other than that, the sets were cheesy. They were corny. The lines were corny, and this was not the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that I expected to come to Broadway. And quite frankly, I'm very disappointed. I think it should have stayed in London and fine-tuned itself before taking this version and coming over here, because they commercialized it so much, made it all American, and it was just really, really, really not good. And I'm sorry to have to say that. I really, again, it kills me, but it was just not a good show. And I also feel that they rushed the second act, and the big exits that we see, I feel, were rushed for Veruca, Mike, and Violet, and Augustus. I know it's a 2-hour. It was just under a 2.5-hour show. I know that, but their exits were so rushed and so quick and chaotic. They added songs to introduce each child, which were all played, as I said, with as adults. I do have to say, I did enjoy. I have to say, I did enjoy the one song "Queen of Pop," which Trista Dollison, who played Violet Beauregard, that was her hit number. And I absolutely, absolutely enjoyed that. The Oompa Loompas were absolutely hysterical, and the way that the actors portray them is quite funny, actually. The Oompa Loompas are, I'm not going to give it away, but it's really interesting how they do it. And I was actually really surprised, because I'm like, there's only like 10 or 15 people left in the ensemble. How are they going to portray Oompa Loompas? And the way that they did it was actually really, really clever, really unique. And I will give you this, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on Broadway. You kind of amazed me with how you did the Oompa Loompas. So great job with that. I really liked that as well, but that's really the only thing that I liked, unfortunately. Sorry. At the end of the day, despite the technical aspects of the show, which I was not pleased with, this show, of course, still sends that warming message that we see at the end as Charlie wins and becomes the ultimate bearer of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. They meet in the glass elevator, and he takes them over the city and gives him the chocolate factory. It still sends a warming message that I love, that is basically, if you believe in something hard enough, anything is possible. And that last scene was really touching and really warm-hearted. Charlie Bucket, who struggled for so long and couldn't afford it, and all he dreamed about was getting into this chocolate factory and seeing Mr. Wonka, and that's what he wanted the most, was just to be inside Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and meet Willy Wonka. And then he got rewarded by, being humble and being such a great kid that he got the chocolate factory. And, he had a dream, he believed in himself, and, his dreams became reality. I wanted to real quick lastly talk about this theater, which I really don't do often, but I was very impressed. This is playing at the Lunt Fontanne Theatre, and the Lunt Fontanne Theatre is really one of the most beautiful theaters I think I've ever been to on Broadway. It's really actually a decent-sized theater. Now, it's not the biggest. The Gershwin Theater, where Wicked is playing, is the biggest. But I was actually really surprised with how much room there was. If you want to learn more about the show or get tickets to visit their website, go to www.charlieonbroadway.com and to find out about the show, get tickets, and learn more for yourself about this spectacular. It's safe to say I doubt the show will be a Best Musical winner. But, you know, people see things that I don't, and I encourage you to at least go see the show and give it a chance. You know, it's going to have a big commercial appeal to it. It's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's Willy Wonka's, it's Willy Wonka. But, don't expect, anything out of this world, unfortunately. So it's playing at the Lunt Fontanne Theatre. Again, you can visit charlieonbroadway.com to get tickets. And the Lunt Fontanne Theatre is on West 46th Street. So, thank you so much for watching another episode of RYE Reviews. Be sure to stay tuned for my next review, which is going to be about Bandstand, the Broadway musical. And be sure you also check out my last review, which was Sunset Boulevard on Broadway, starring Glenn Close. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and be kind to one another.